of the agenda. Just to make a little note, we're waiting on one other guest. And 4.1, we'll move Representative Kidwell up or down when the guest walks in the room, if the board's okay with that.
So moved, Chairman, with those changes if necessary.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, approval of minutes. We got a set of minutes, open and closed. July 30th.
So moved. Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we're gonna jump to 4.2. Dr. Cheeseman, new school update.
The board should have an attachment. So with your blessing, I contacted City Manager Jonathan Russell to specifically talk about the property at John Cotton Taylor. The baseball and softball field is equivalent to 5.26 acres. The track is equivalent to 6.42 acres. Recognizing that we need about 2.5 acres at Eastern Elementary School. There are some options on the table. So last night they had a city council meeting. I'm waiting to hear back from Jonathan Russell. But in short, the city manager did say that they're very interested in exchange of land. And then after their council made a decision in terms of what they would like to acquire in return, then they would prepare mapping for Eastern, and then collectively, after you approve, they would go back to the county commissioners for their consideration of agreement in this land exchange. So in short, the initial conversation was the 5.26 acres of the baseball field and the softball field, but recognizing that the track may also be available seemed to intrigue the city manager. And so with that, there's really no other update at this time.
Anybody think?
We did discuss,
You're not
Ms.
hot.
Brantley, I'm sorry. I don't consider myself loud enough. We did discuss that in the interim, if this happened, that John Cotton Taylor would still have full use during the school day of that, because I know you do use it for kickball and PE and stuff, so I wanted to make sure that that would still be available. But the fact is, we don't even maintain it, do we?
No, they maintain it.
The city's been
City
maintaining
maintains
it, so we don't even maintain that land. Likewise, the land for us, they don't maintain, so hopefully that'll work out. But I wanted you to know, Ms. Brantley, that we got you covered.
One question, we had briefly mentioned Thursday's meeting because of weather.
Yeah.
Do we want to mention that now or decide?
feel
or
free.
Well, I was just thinking while our guests were still here, but, or later, which you want to do?
Yeah, so we're moving, school starts for Beaufort County Schools tomorrow. Early college high school students arrive tomorrow. But based on the weather, we're going to move early college high school to satellite days on Thursday and Friday, looking at the rain totals for Thursday. So we're going to postpone and or cancel some of our Thursday meetings and activities. So all of our extracurricular activities are canceled for after school for our students. But with that, I'm suggesting that due to the weather, that the new school progress meeting on Thursday be rescheduled.
Do that.
But yeah, that's all I was
My
saying.
personal opinion is I don't want to put people on the road
Right.
if we have the weather, the rain.
nothing
I hate
pressing.
it for people to get on the road now, but as you can see, it's about to stop.
Yeah, and Thursday was going to be one of the
Worst
worst days. Okay,
What do y'all think?
All
so
right.
we just scratched that.
I'm gonna go on down to action while we're still waiting for the guests to arrive. 5.1, Title I Plan, 24-25. Mr. Singleton makes his presence known back after retirement.
Short time no see.
Board, you have a attachment.
Yes.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me back, and thank you for the opportunity to work with your leadership on the FY25 proposed Title I plan. I believe you do have that on board docs. Mr. Chairman, I have an opening statement, after which I'd be more than glad to answer any questions that the board may have. The FY25 planning allotment for Title I is $2.6 million. We carried over from FY25 about $675,000. The estimated total amount of funding available will be $3,318,530.85. The FY25 planning allotment of Title I of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 is a decrease of $32,000 over the FY 2024 actual allotment. This decrease is due to declining numbers of the age 5 to 17-year-old population residing in Beaufort County per data from the United States Census Bureau. The latest state health and human services data we have on birth dates in Beaufort County over the last decade does show a continued downward trend. Our carryover from FY24 is slightly more than what we carried over from our carryover from 24 is a little bit more than what we carried over from FY23. The proposal for the use of Title I funds this year includes in finances and includes several district set-asides. One of those is administrative costs, including the indirect costs that will be recouped by the district in June. The set-aside this year for administration is $80,000 less than in FY24 due to the retirement of administrative positions that were paid when that retirement occurred in October of 2023. By using an independent contractor paid within the set-aside part, it recoups some savings. Additional district set-asides proposed include transporting both homeless and foster students back to their original school if out of their attendance zone when deemed in their best interest, as well as the required parent and family engagement set-aside, which sends specific funds to the Title I schools to foster parent and family engagement, including activities such as parent nights. It should be noted that with the foster set-aside, any funds that are spent in transporting those students back will be the expenses will be shared with the county from the Department of Social Services as they reimburse us 50% for students that they place in foster care in areas outside of their attendance zone. One of the larger set-asides is for the pre-kindergarten program, where Title I currently funds 35% of the district program. NC Pre-K State funds 48%, and Exceptional Children Program funds 17%. There is a small set-aside to serve our English as Second Language students so that we can apply for and receive federal Title III funding, and there is also one to supplement the federal Section 504 program mandate. The largest set-aside is to continue funding an instructional specialist in each of the 8 Title I schools. Initially, these were funded by ESSER funds, but for the last 2 years, they have been funded here. Additionally, we propose putting funds into 2 separate lines that will not be spent in FY25 in an effort to keep the program fiscally solvent and financially strong. These funds will carry over into FY26, and they will be used to cover the Title I payroll from July through most of October of 25, prior to the FY26 federal allocation arriving in October. It is similar to a savings account. By taking a fiscally conservative approach to budgeting, we are able to maintain one of the most financially strong Title I programs in the state, as we do not have to borrow local funds to begin the school year. This leaves $1.220 million that we would propose to send out to the 8 proposed Title I schools, sending an allocation to all 8 K-8 schools in the district, with the exception of Bath, as has been the case the past few years. Bath does not currently meet Title I poverty requirements. This amount is a fairly minimal decrease going out to the 8 schools, cumulatively of only around $5,000 from last year. 4 of our schools will see a slight decrease and 4 will see an increase, and this is due to changes in poverty rates as well as rank order of poverty. We have been able to maintain all positions within the school allocations that all 8 principals desired to maintain. Some principals chose to cut positions in order to increase non-personnel monies available. Under this plan, we have been actually able to fund each of the 8 schools with enough dollars within their school allocation to maintain the desired positions that the principals desired to keep and to have at least $10,000 in non-personnel discretionary spending for use on activities such as professional development, supplies, materials, software, tutors, workshop substitutes, etc. This increase in spendable dollars for discretionary items is a result of the $80,000 saved in the administrative set-aside. Even in this time of reduced allocations and with taking a fiscally conservative financial approach to maintaining a federal fund balance for Title I, we have been able to craft a proposed plan that will allow the district and the funded schools the means to bring about positive change and improved outcome for students.
Anybody got any questions for Mr. Singleton after all that information? Go ahead, Don.
Yes, sir. Realizing that Bath has not been able to qualify in the past, has anyone done any recent studies that that maybe they might minimally? I'm not sure how that works, but anything recent that to see if Bath did qualify for anything? Would that be a good question?
It's an excellent question, actually. And what we do every April is we take data from our Child Nutrition Department under the Community Eligibility Provision. Years ago, we used to participate in a program that people would refer to as free and reduced lunch. And now we work with the community eligibility provision. And with this program, we're taking a look at percentages of children that are qualifying for under federal guidelines like Medicaid as far as SNAP and TANF and those things. The overall poverty data that comes into those programs comes from the federal government. And Bath is at a situation where they're a few percentage points below the required minimum of 35% to become eligible for Title I funding. If they do reach the 35% eligibility provision, you would have an opportunity to consider adding them as your least impoverished school. However, I will say that until they reach the magic 40% number, they would not be able to operate what's called a school-wide program. They would have to operate a targeted assistance program and only target certain youngsters in the school for the services. School-wide has a lot of advantages. With a school-wide program, you can target any child in the school, regardless of their poverty level or grade or test scores that you think needs extra help. So they have qualified in the past, and it may be that they do qualify again in the future.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Anybody got any any questions?
No, I just want to
Yeah.
thank you. You are one of the most fiscally conservative Title I persons I have ever known. I appreciate, this is a tremendous amount of information that you compile, and I appreciate it because it lets us as a board and the public that wants to view this, it lets us see the snapshot of where each school is. And I know that's a tremendous amount of work, but I do appreciate it, and just keep squeezing those dollars as hard as you can.
Mr. Hickman?
This may be for you, Mr. Singleton, or it may be for Mark. I'm just wondering, do we have presently have an instructional support coach at Snowden?
Yes. The previous coach, I think Julie Billups is going into that role this year, and that's funded off the top outside of the school allocations, where we fund all 8 of them. So all 8 Title I schools do have a off-the-top district set-aside Title I instructional coach in place as we begin this coming this coming school year. Ms. Billups is transitioning into that position, but she's an experienced educator with many years' experience and very familiar with the
And she's a
community.
certified person?
Yes, sir, absolutely. She has been with the school for many years.
Oh, Billups, yeah. I didn't
You
know
probably
that.
know her.
Yeah, she's got a lot of hats.
She does, and I think she's going to be outstanding and tremendous in this role.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody else got any questions?
Just want to say to Greg, I told him before the meeting, I promised I wouldn't ask him any questions this year. So I think this is the first year out of the last 10. But after looking at it, I just wanted to say that these numbers are not pre-K, I know that. But the number of our qualifying students continues to go up. This
Yes.
year, out of these 8 schools, I was just running the numbers. I wasn't using my cell phone. I was using my calculator on my cell
Right.
phone. We have 73%.
When you look at all,
73% of low-income students in these schools.
and you're exactly right, and even when you take in some of the schools that are not served Title I, that are maybe less impoverished than these,
Right.
with what Ms. Kervin was able to put together with that program, I think that you're able to provide that meal to all those children through that community eligibility provision, because when she pairs the schools together, everyone is over that magic number of 62.5%. So, and these are numbers that are lower than if you were doing like a free and reduced some of the districts
I
I
know.
contract with, they're still using a free and reduced lunch application, and they're not able to qualify in a community eligibility position.
But I just wanted to point that
It's a
out.
lot of
because-
poverty.
Yeah, so, because
Exactly.
when grades come back in for these schools, and you have A schools, B schools, C schools, just everybody needs to realize the students that we're actually serving out there, that's a remarkable job our schools do, is what I'm saying.
Yes, I agree, it is.
So this is an action item.
It needs to be approved. I make a motion we approve it.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Now,
All opposed? All right, thank you, Mr. Singleton. Good to have
Thank
you
you
back,
so
sir.
Well,
much.
thank you for the opportunity to serve Beaufort County Schools.
So,
Yep.
thank you.
I'm going to reach back up the 4.1 board to legislative update and Title IX update. Mr. Kidwell is in the house.
welcome.
Welcome, Keith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Keith Kidwell, representing Beaufort, Hyde, Dare, Pamlico counties. With me this evening is Michelle Marrow, I've invited Michelle to be with me here this evening. She has worked diligently on Title IX and probably has a fair amount of more knowledge than I do on it. I want to thank the chairman and the board for indulging me here this evening. I want to thank our teachers for the wonderful job that they do here at the schools in Beaufort County, and I'm just glad I don't have to do that job. So, anyway, let me start with this. I want to thank the school board here tonight for refusing to follow the new Title IX rules. What we need to understand is that this puts millions of dollars of federal education monies at risk. The Biden-Harris administration says they will withhold federal money from any school that does not comply with the new Title IX rules. The Title IX rules that you were forced to consider would require our schools to allow mixed use of restrooms, showers, and locker rooms on school property. I don't think there's any parent in Beaufort County that wants their children using these facilities when male and female will be forced to use the same bathrooms, showers, and locker rooms. And that would be at the same time. We're not talking about where they would change out. Title IX is being forced on us by the Biden-Harris administration, and unfortunately, Josh Stein and Governor Cooper have taken no action to prevent the implementation of these rules. 26 states at this point in time have filed and received rulings that prevent the implementation of these rules. Sadly, North Carolina is a gaping hole in southeastern United States on these maps of who's filed and who has not. Also of note is your General Assembly in 2017 passed House Bill 142, which disallows any school from allowing boys and girls to share the same restrooms, showers, and locker rooms simultaneously. I'm here today to ask the Beaufort County Board of Education to consider working with me and other counties, and by the way, there is a representative from Dare County here today. If you would rise, sir. He came here today to find out what we're talking about, and I'm already going to go out to the Dare County as well as Pamlico and Hyde counties to see if we can get them on board with this. I want you to consider joining the other counties. I would like the parents and students to get together and let's compile a list of complainants to file a lawsuit against the Biden-Harris administration to stop the Title IX rules from being implemented while protecting the federal money that they are threatening to withhold when we do not adopt them. Patricia Garrison is going to pass out some information to all of the parents and teachers. Any parent or student that attends a school anywhere in North Carolina can join an organization for free called Moms for Liberty. And this will be on the documentation by texting the word, all caps, Liberty, to 53445. Fill out the information to join Moms for Liberty. Then go to the website I've indicated, which is momsforliberty.org, Title IX, /Title IX, and register your child's school. This will join your child to the state of Kansas in joining a lawsuit that prevents the implementation of the new Title IX rules. With that said, Mr. Chairman, I stand for questions.
First, number one, thanks for coming tonight, Keith, and bringing this for us. And we had, as you know, Earl noted earlier, we kicked Title IX last meeting. Just nobody feels good about it at all. And then we also made the unanimous decision last meeting. Our board did that athletics is being participated in, and what your birth certificate says. So our board takes a very hard stance against mixing everything together and whatever they want to try to say that it is. So, board, y'all got any questions for Keith?
Well, I do, but is there anything going to be done, and I feel like there is, but if you could let us know, is anything going to be done at the state level to help schools fight this? Are we on our own?
It's a great question, Ms. Walker. So in speaking with the attorneys, and I've spoken to everybody at the very high levels of legal eagles in North Carolina, professors of law schools, the legal eagles at the General Assembly, in order to take action, it must be done by a group that has what's called standing. And in order to have standing, you have to be directly involved with the effect of the new rule. So the General Assembly does not have standing, nor does the Department of Public Instruction. That's why they're unable to actually join or advise on lawsuits. I spoke to person after person across the state. I've spoken to different divisions of education and law, And it just seems everybody's like, well, we know what has to be done, but nobody took the steps to do it. That's why I'm here tonight, because most of you that know me know I'm not afraid to stand up and shout when something's wrong. This is wrong. It needs to be stopped. I am shocked that North Carolina is this gaping hole, not really just in the southeastern part of the country, but overall, when you look at the more conservative type states, it's just a shock to me to look at the map and see that we've not done something. It falls squarely on the shoulders of our governor and our attorney general that they have failed to do this. It's not unusual, though, I have to add, for Josh Stein to not do the job he was elected to do. I want to bring politics into it, I'm simply stating fact. Time after time, Josh Stein has stood back and chose not to enforce the laws and the will of the people of the state of North Carolina. And ladies and gentlemen, you know I've done it before, I'm going to do it again. I sued the governor, I got no problem suing the president. I am very glad to help put this together, and I'm going to go first across my district. I'm working with other members of the General Assembly to take this across the state. My hope is we can quickly get at least one parent, if just one parent from every school will join Moms for Liberty, and then go in and signify which school their child attends. That enjoins that school from using and implementing Title IX. This takes the burden off you, Mr. Chairman and Board. At that point, the federal government cannot withhold your funds, but they also cannot enforce Title IX, the new rules, okay? So I'm asking the public here today, take one of these flyers that we've provided to you, fill it out, join Moms for Liberty, register your school, and stop this ridiculous activity of putting boys and girls in the same restroom.
Great. Go ahead, Don.
Mr. Kidwell, I wanted to thank you for you and Ms. Morrow for your strong support on, stand on this. Thank you for your work on this. This is important. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I want to be sure that everybody does understand that this is not going to be an easy task. I'm working on trying to find, and Michelle's going to work with me on this, we're trying to find some pro bono attorneys. There have been others in most of the other states. It's been done pro bono. Don't know why nobody's attempted to do it here. Don't care, found out it wasn't being done, and we decided, Michelle and I, we're going to get this done. And we're going to get it done quickly. But the most expedient way to do it is get the parents to register, get the schools registered, and then let us continue with the lawsuit to prevent this from happening in the future.
I know that some flyers have been passed out, but there's a great deal of people that didn't come. I'm sure the rain kept them out. I don't blame them for that. But is there a way that you can share this on social media so that they
As long as they
can?
let it sit up there.
And that is a problem, because quite honestly,
They'll
and
take it
thank you for
down.
the question, Ms. Walker. I put up the news article from Carolina Journal that came out over this past weekend that showed the map and just a description of what Title IX did. And Facebook has taken it down from every place that's tried to repost that, saying it didn't meet community standards, which I guess their only community standard is that boys and girls must use the same restroom or they don't like it. I will continue to repost this information. If they ban me from social media, so be it. I'll put it on Facebook, I'll put it on my, I guess it's called X now, and also have it up on Truth Social. If you don't get it there, email my office at keith.kidwell@ncleg.gov, and I will send you the information.
And I have one more question. Ms. Morrow, do you have anything to add to this? We haven't heard from you.
Yes, the other thing I would say is if you would reach out to your administrators and let them know, because this is not just about boys and girls in sports or in bathrooms. This is also the ability for people to claim sexual harassment or, and to take people to court if you are misgendered or if you use the wrong pronoun or you use the wrong name. So our staff and our teachers are also at risk in this endeavor, and so it would be good for us to kind of join forces with those that are not just staff, but also concerned about the students.
I would add to that this Title IX rule protects sexual orientation, and I really don't care what it is, it's immaterial to me. But when we have a government body or agency that must protect that, go Google sexual orientation and prepare to be shocked at the length of the list and what's in there. Now, I'll tell you a question that I asked a psychologist here today that's also a member of the House of Representatives, but I don't dare use the words that I had to use because I just don't feel they're appropriate in mixed company or in public. But there's some sexual orientations that would be covered. You would be shocked by it. You would be shocked, and I don't care who you are. I ask you, go look at it yourself, or if you want to talk to me in private, I refuse to even mention the words here in public, but it's amazing what you would have to defend as a body in this county and in this state due to us not taking action. So we've got to prevent this from happening.
And I
Anybody-
wanted to point out again what you said and what you reiterated. This board did not approve or vote for this last week. There's some misinformation out there that we did, and I just want to make that clear. We did not vote for this.
And that's exactly, Ms. Walker, while I'm here today, is to show my appreciation for the board's position. I'm hoping that the other 3 counties that I represent will take similar action. So if you heard that, Mr. School Board Member from Dare County in the back, we're going to go out and talk to the other counties and try and get them involved, and other members of the General Assembly will continue this effort across the state of North Carolina. And let's get this just reeled in and get it where it belongs.
Go ahead.
I just want to say the same thing. Thank you for being here. And last meeting we had a week ago, I made a comment that there was quite a bit of laughter, but I just want everybody to know I still stand by that. And for those of you who didn't hear me, that was when I said I only made it through the second paragraph while I was ready to throw it all in the trash. But a lot of people apparently saw that video because since last week's meeting, I've been contacted by a lot of people in my district, and the parents, you're correct, they are not in favor of these changes. They do not want me to support it, so, well, first off, I wasn't going to anyway, but even if I wanted to, I'm sitting here to represent those people, and they're saying, no, Terry, you're not going to vote for this. So that's where I stand, and yes, I'll still throw it in the trash if you give me the opportunity.
And Mr. Williams, I also want to point out on a similar note that in my reading of the document, what I found was a violation of the United States Constitution. The United States Constitution gives the federal government 27 powers, not 28, not 29, not education. They do not have the authority under the U.S. Constitution. So what they're doing right now is an infringement on the rights of the state of North Carolina, because Article 10 of the Constitution states that Amendment 10 of the Constitution states that anything not covered within this Constitution remains the rights of the people and the states, not the federal government. So it's also an infringement on that, as well as the common decency of the citizens of North Carolina and the United States.
All right, go ahead.
Turn your mic.
Representative Kidwell and I live close enough together in the same neighborhood. We could walk to each other's house. We're too lazy, we drive, but we could walk. And I just want you to know, he is telling you 100% the truth when he says he is not afraid to fight for what he believes in. I live in his neighborhood. I know how he is. And we appreciate him. Thank you so much for all you do for us.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
Thank
Anything
you.
further?
Oh, hold up.
Yeah, Representative Kidwell, since we don't have the luxury, as you stated, of approaching this like many other states have through their attorney general in a more traditional way of doing it, we really, we've been following this a while, and we're pretty concerned, and we appreciate both of your efforts in finding us ways to approach this and how to deal with it. Thank you.
And thank you. And if it wasn't for teamwork, we wouldn't be able to get it done. So I want to personally thank Michelle for being involved in this and for coming here this evening, because there was a whole lot of other people invited. I won't name names, but I do want you to note that she showed up. And I appreciate that. Now, some others had some good reasons. There was one gentleman who's running for Commissioner of Labor, who I might add is his wife is right on the verge of labor. So he had a good reason to
He's
not be here tonight.
excused. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Keith.
In this weather.
Thank
you,
you all very
Michelle.
much. I
Thank you all.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all be safe in the weather.
Yeah, drive back, so it's not nice out there.
Moving back to action items, 5.2, Washington Football League Athletic Director, Mr. Mitchell. Everybody, board, you got an attachment.
Seems like Keith's been dealing with the Youth Football League a long time.
All right, Keith, you got it.
All right. The Washington Youth Football League is very interested in discussing the current MOU that we have, they have with Beaufort County Schools. And what they want to do is reflect the use of P.S. Jones Middle School football field as well as Kugler Field, not just Kugler Field. I want to introduce, this is Miss LaQuisha Garner-Boyd. She's the president of the Washington Youth Football League. She's here to talk about any questions you may have about it. But just kind of give you a background of why they need to do this. Just this year, they've had to move to a new football league called East Carolina Football League, away from the community league that they've played in, that we played in, and I was involved in many years ago. I think just because of lack of numbers here in the communities around this area. But the new league they're playing is requiring them to kick field goals, and so they need field goal posts. Well, when we looked at Kugler Field, back in the day when I was running the league and Ray, we were running the league, we played on an 80-yard field. Well, they need a 100-yard field, and when you look at a 100-yard field at Kugler Field, it takes it to the very limits of the fences. So removable fences, maybe even a light pole would have to happen to get 100 yards in there. So plus not talking about the financial burden of building field goal posts, putting them up, that the league would have to endure. So they're requesting just to play on Saturdays only, if I'm correct, at P.S. Jones Middle School, just to use the football field, nothing else involved in the school. Ms. Vosberg is on board, as well as the athletic director, Ms. Gherkin, and the football coach, John Scott Cutler. So,
What about bathrooms?
ma'am,
What about bathrooms?
well, bathrooms would be a part of the football field, where they would be obligated as well to obtain a custodian and pay a fee of $30 an hour to that custodian to take care of those.
To be on site
Yes, ma'am.
and to
During
lock
the-
up?
during the-
Just because liability insurance?
We have added, P.S. Jones to our insurance company.
Okay. Do you carry $1 million, or what are you carrying $1 million life insurance? I mean, not, liability insurance?
Yes, we
Okay.
have, Sadler Insurance.
Okay. Good.
Is there any use still at Kugler? Because the agreement still lists Kugler Field on it.
Absolutely, every practice is held for all teams in our different divisions. We will just use PSJ for playing time.
Okay, still use Kugler for your
That is
practice and
correct.
stuff?
4 or 5 times a week.
Okay.
Do you see that as an issue? And the only reason I say that, I'm not trying to add to what you're doing here, I don't have a problem with this, is that for years, we had an issue with not having a regulation-sized soccer field. And so whenever, whether it was our girls or boys team was playing at the state level in a championship or playoff, they weren't quite conditioned for the size of field that they had to play on in a regulation. We've remedied that, but is that gonna be an issue? Because now they're gonna be playing a game on a field that they don't ever get to practice on. And Ms. Fosberg, I'm not trying to add, but I'm just, do you follow what I'm saying? It's,
I do. I would say to that, in a practice session, you don't use the 100-yard field at a time as
Okay.
well. You would use a 20 to 30-yard span to
Gotcha.
practice it, so the 100 yards would come into effect.
okay, good.
And I would also like to add the fact that, our local rec league football feeds our middle school and high school programs, so we're working on better interactions and working together to, mesh as a community. So this is the beginning of that.
Sounds good.
Does the, have we checked to make sure there's no use of the field at P.S. Jones by the school on Saturdays?
I'm getting a head nod from Ms. Vosberg. She's good to go.
We're good. Okay, well, she runs the school out there, so if she's good,
Yep.
I'm good.
So this is an action item.
All right,
Question.
Go ahead.
Are we covered liability-wise?
yes, she said they
Just-
did.
We are.
Answer.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
I'm bad at hearing over on this side.
I move that we approve the updated MOU as presented.
Second.
All right, got a motion second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, thank y'all.
luck.
Thank you.
Good luck in the season. All right, 5.3, Policy 3100, back up for action, and we have attachments. Dr. Cheeseman.
Policy 3100 is back up for your consideration after first read, so this is your first opportunity for review and recommendations of board members.
Mr. Chairman, I have a statement I'd like to read, since I was the one that brought the proposed
All right.
revision up.
All right,
We've got some guests in our audience excuse me, we've got some guests in our audience tonight, and I just wanted to bring everyone up to date as why it was necessary that the proposed revision was brought up for 3,100. The revision was brought forward in October 2023 after the curriculum Savas was selected by the Social Studies Curriculum Committee, and there was an outcry from the community that this proposed curriculum was too liberal for our schools. This was after several school board members had researched the curriculum. It was then withdrawn without being voted on after the February 21, 2023 meeting and was never brought back up again for vote. With the more recent proposed revisions to Policy Code 3100, I believe there is a better way to make sure we have an acceptable social studies curriculum. With the revised proposed curriculum, a board member is being suggested to serve on the committee, on the Social Studies Committee. Also, it would be better, hopefully we would have better communication in bringing that forward. And it would also involve more board involvement and for greater transparency. This is what we hear from our constituency, our families, and many of the folks who attended the previous meeting on February 21, 2023, who packed this building. I would like to make a motion when we get to it, that when we do vote, that we do a roll call vote. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else got any questions?
I read through this, and I'm going to be real honest. I would rather the representative be a parent and not a school board member. And the reason I say that is that our parents and what their children are learning should be, in my opinion, the utmost important. They are the ones that need to be approving this curriculum before it even comes to us. If your parents aren't on board, as we found
Sure.
out. Now, with that said, so I'm kind of stuck in the middle on this, Donald. I would love for it to be a parent representative and not a board member. But with that said, I would want to add to that we get frequent updates on where they are, so that we
Absolutely.
are constantly kept in the loop.
Absolutely.
I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, remember when this was first brought forward, we did a community standards, and there was all kinds of hoops that we had to jump through, minutes and open meetings and things like that we decided to drop it. Remember? We dropped that from the proposed revision and then went to a board member. We just thought it would be more practical to have a board member to give us more current updates on what was going on with the social studies curriculum, instead of waiting to one meeting 3 days before and then hit us with 4 different curriculums that nobody had researched or that we had any information on. I'm open to a parent.
I actually would, I would like more than one parent. I would propose,
But, Mr.
hang
Chairman-
on, let me finish.
Sure.
I would propose 3 parents, one from I'm gonna split, the county split in half. North side of the river, not Northside High School, but the north side of the river, the south side of the river, and then one parent from the Washington area. So that would put 3 parents on the curriculum adoption team.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, I
Right.
think that's a great idea, but we were told the whole time that parents were on that committee.
Well, they're
Remember?
invited, they're
Remember?
invited to be on it, but I think
They don't serve.
they don't
necessarily.
serve. But I think this could be a little different if it's a need and you have parents that want it. Now, with that said, I don't know that we want an outgoing senior parent. It would make more sense if this is an incoming freshman or sophomore parent, because they're the ones that are going to be invested in that school with their children's education. That's just my thinking. I would rather it be a parent who would go out into the community then and go, I've served on this committee and I think we're going in a good direction. But they also, I would like for them to continue to update us very frequently so we know where they are in the process.
So it sounds like there's some heartburn with some board members having a board member on that. That's what I'm hearing?
I think we've already said this in the past, but we are technically that we are who they answer to.
I understand.
And if you are meeting with your boss and you say, I think, your boss says, I think we should do this, are you really gonna argue with him? Even if you feel strongly, some might, but some would feel like, and I've talked to some, and this is why I'm saying this is what they've shared with me, is I don't feel like I can sit there and tell a board member, no, we're not gonna do that. And I get that. Some are strong enough in their personality, they're gonna go, no, let me tell you why we don't wanna go that way. These are only my thoughts, and I would like for you just to consider we make this a parent and not necessarily a board member. And it be a current parent, not somebody that was a parent in our system 5 years ago, but a parent that is currently having children in our system.
Yeah.
That's just my
And I think it needs to be more than one parent, because it
I
needs to
don't
be
have a problem with that.
3 or 4. It needs to be 3 or 4 that's vested and very much involved in the schools and what goes on. We got many principals out there that can tell you on probably one hand how many parents are vested, involved, and volunteering, and will do, when they say, hey, will you do this, they throw their hand up.
Okay, well, how about this?
Hey.
And then Gary, I think Gary had a question. How about this? How about we take this back, work it again, and see how this could work, maybe having 3 parents on the committee. Let me work it again and see what I can bring back the next time, and hopefully we can get this thing passed where we can get a really good social studies curriculum committee consistency going.
All right,
Yeah.
hang on. Gary was first.
Okay.
Gary, yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind, I of course like the idea of having parents involved in the decision-making process, and the fact of it is, probably the parents, regardless of whether their student is currently in, 5 through 12 or whatever, they have as much or more curriculum experience than we do. And so I think that rather than restricting it to a current parent of a student, that as long as we have a parent or a person out there who has, I'm going to just say curriculum experience, that would be something that we should consider and take a look at.
Well, I got something else to say, but since that's been brought up, let me address that. I don't care. We were gonna put a board member on, and I don't think too many of us have curriculum experience. But if you wanna put a parent on, I'll consider that. But you need to let the schools decide who the parent is, not the board. You got principals and administrators, let them pick a parent out of their school area and let them pick. So that's that. But here's what I really wanted to say. And Donald's right. I've not been hiding this. I've said for 6 months or 9 months, I won't agree to a board member being put on the committee. And I've no heartburn. I just don't agree to it, and I'm not going to. But here's why. This curriculum, as it's been rewritten, I've gone through it right here. There's about 9 to 10 changes in it. And I can actually agree with every one of them. There's nothing really wrong with the changes that they're suggesting, whoever they are.
Hang on 1 second, Elsa. Terry's got the floor.
And the reason I balk on the school board member is because the way the policy will be, it clearly says that the superintendent only coordinates the curriculum committee, The school board approves who's on the committee. So up front, we're going to approve who's on the committee. Then it says we also will meet with that curriculum team and give them, I hate to call it instructions, but give them what we are looking for in a curriculum. Then we ask for, and you said monthly updates by Dr. Parker's team to come in and let us know how it's going. And then when you get to the end, we're asking under this new policy, and I agree with it, that they bring us a minimum of 3 curriculums in the order to which they would prefer them to be. And of course, it's all being sent to parents, being published to everybody in the county to read. We'll give them ample time. And then at the very end of all that, the board also either approves or declines. So just to cover myself real quick, we set up the committee, we put the people on the committee, we get updates from the committee, we then let everybody read it, then we approve or decline it. I don't see the point in having a board member on the committee. We're already in charge. We tell them who they're going to be, what they're going to look for, and yes or no at the end. And you're right, with the Savas, that's the one you were talking about, it actually worked. Everybody keeps talking about it like it was some disaster, but the curriculum committee, it actually worked. They came out, they researched, they brought it to us. We have a 30-day, on a policy change, I believe I'm correct, we have to have a first and second reading, so you got a 30-day read on it. We didn't like it, and this board voted it down and kicked it out. So nobody can say that it didn't work. It worked just the way it's supposed to work.
I don't
The
think we
board didn't
voted-
like it, and
I
we
don't
sent
think
it
we
out.
voted on Savas.
We didn't vote.
Well,
on
but
it.
we set it aside because there was nobody going to vote for it. So
The straw
they
vote
had to
was
go
that.
back and pick out another one if they wanted another one. So that's kind of where we're stuck at. But it worked. We didn't approve it and send it through. So that's all I'm saying. We're involved at every step of the way already. Now, if you want to put the parents in, that's fine with me. If you want to leave it like it is and take a vote on it just like it is, that's fine with me. I'm only one person and one vote, but if you're willing to put up all 9 changes and risk all of this being thrown out for one item, make your motion and do it.
Miss Eltha's got some. Miss Eltha, you got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry. I was trying to get your attention, and I think I had you on mute. But I totally agree with what Mr. Williams is saying. That was basically my question. I was wondering what was wrong with the policy that there was such a disagreement about. And I wasn't understanding, and then I was wondering, well, what if it was such a misunderstanding, what was the problem? But he basically gave me the answers himself, so thank you so much for that. I understand what you're saying. I agree with the policy the way it is, and that's it.
All right. So we can, if you're in agreement, we could go ahead and take out, if you wanted to, and add, if we could come in agreement on the parents. And we could go ahead and pass it tonight. Because I think everybody's good with everything other than the parents. I mean, putting the parents on.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, and then how, let's go over this. So how would that be conducted again?
Just like we did last meeting when Charles and I, when it had the genders of both, whatever's on the birth certificate, and then we struck the back of it, and I said, and you put a period, and Charles said, yeah, that's it. So we just changed the wording right now, he scratches it, and it's over.
Yeah, no, sir, I meant, I think I was referring to the way the parents are being selected.
Well, I think to what TW said, as well as
By
Terry,
school site.
I would go so far as to say there's not a principal or assistant principal out there who isn't aware of the
good
parents that
parent.
are heavily involved in their school, their day-to-day activities. We have parents that volunteer,
I see a lot of
that
head nods,
tutor,
so-
that are,
And-
that are part of your
Head
school. And if you don't, I feel like you could find one within your school that is, like I said, they have a vested interest in their school being successful with whatever the curriculum is. In this case, you're talking about social studies, but And if they can't come up with one, then that's something that their guidance counselor or
Well,
even a
actually-
teacher that's going to serve on that committee could help them with.
And that would back up what Gary said about having somebody with some curriculum experience.
Yeah.
That may be hard.
But also, yeah, I noticed, that was one thing I failed to mention. See what you think about this, Mr. Chairman, and Donald. It mentions the social studies curriculum here, and I don't mind that it does that, but this needs to be noted for all curriculums.
All curriculums.
Yeah, this will apply to all curriculums. It can
Right.
stay social studies, what you've got, I mean, I'm
Right.
fine with that.
Right.
But, you know, let's include all, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
Because
Okay.
aren't we coming up on needing a science
Yes.
adoption,
Yes.
Dr.
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
First, because that's a tested area, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so, Mr. Chairman, at your pleasure, the way we want to do this. And I just want to thank Dr. Parker, too, for his work. This was in no way anything against Dr. Parker. Dr. Parker. I think a lot of Dr. Parker. So, Chairman,
Question.
hang on.
So if we're gonna go this route of principals choosing parents, we need to outline what schools, if it's going to be all schools, that needs to be in this situation. It's not just south
I agree.
side, because
I
we got
agree.
several schools south side of the river.
I
We
agree.
got
Yeah.
several schools in the north side, we got several schools in the Washington
Well-
area. If we're gonna do that,
I-
it's gotta be outlined properly.
Well, how about we do this? How about we take, bring it back on the 20th with some striking out the board member to parents of a number, if we could go ahead and give some
and we can come up
direction.
with the schools, I
And then,
guess.
Dr. Cheeseman can work, do you mind working with the administrators on how best to be able to choose the parent and to put up for the thing?
Can it be,
Three.
to Terry Draper's point, can it see each participating school? Obviously, we do not
think
need a
that's fair.
teacher,
I
a
do
parent
too.
at Bath
Maybe decide.
Elementary
Yeah.
deciding
I think
curriculum.
Yeah, that's
for
right.
high school. A participating
Elementary school
school.
doesn't need to be on a high
High
school
school
adoption
curriculum.
committee.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that very much.
Participating
And
school.
do you want 3, 4 parents, 5 parents, 6
Leave
parents?
it at a
way you said it.
participating school.
Each school, each
Okay.
school that would be allowed, yeah.
If you took the social studies, you're gonna have, that's K through 8th, right? That's not high school. So I mean, that would be all your K through 8 schools.
Well, Bath, Snowden, and Northeast, that's just 3 schools that are K-8.
Well,
So
and
you
then there's
have
gotta
one
be
that
something
represents
in
the school.
Watson, right?
Yeah.
Whether you got P.S. Jones and whatever, right?
I tell you, yes, but it also depends on what you're trying to adopt, correct,
Exactly.
Dr. Parker?
Just,
So, let's
Leave
it
Dr.
open.
Cheeseman's got some direction.
Yeah.
And if we'll get a motion to table it to the 20th,
Yes.
get it off of the action item, I'll take
Okay.
that.
Sure. I make the motion.
All right?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
5.4, field trip approval, P.S. Jones Middle School, Dr. Cheeseman.
And P.S. Jones Middle School, October 4th through the 5th, Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. 6 male students, 9 female students, 2 male adults, 9 female adults. No transportation requested. Parents will provide transportation for their child. They're going to see the Ron Clark Academy Health System Leadership Academy.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
And may I say that I went to their fundraiser last night, and they were the most polite young men and women that greeted, and they were so wonderful. I was so proud of them. So kudos, Ms. Fosberg.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
I move we go into closed session pursuant to General Statutes 143, 318, 11A1 to prevent disclosure of confidential personnel files under General Statutes 115C, 321.
Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we're in closed session.